All right, so today we're going to get into a pretty amazing story. It's about how a modern Buddhist movement went totally global, and it was all really driven by the vision of just one person. We're talking strategy, struggle, and how the power of a single, lifelong dream can literally build a community all across the world, from the ground up.
And it all starts right here, with this one simple idea. It's a dream that a young monk named Hsing Yun held on to for his entire life. And this wasn't just some passing thought. It became the absolute core mission that would shape everything he did from that point on. But to really get a handle on this modern movement, we've got to rewind a bit, because the idea of a global Buddhism, it's not new at all. You could say it's basically written into its DNA. I mean, think about it. The Buddha's message of compassion and equality was, by its very nature, completely borderless. It didn't matter if you were a king or a merchant or an outcast. The teachings were designed to reach anyone who was suffering, no exceptions. This core idea made it a faith that was ready for the world, right from the get-go. And for centuries, that's exactly what happened. The faith just spread. It moved organically along trade routes, it got support from kings and emperors, and it wove itself into all these new cultures. This was really the first wave of globalization for Buddhism, and it proved its universal appeal long before our modern era. Okay, so fast forward to the 20th century, and the picture looks, well, a little different. A lot of people felt that Buddhism had become kind of isolated, retreating into monasteries and losing touch with everyday society. It was going to take a new generation with a new vision to reignite that global spirit. And this really shows you the shift in thinking that was needed. There was a key reformer, Master Hsing, who argued that for Buddhism to actually survive and thrive, it had to engage with the world, not hide from it. It needed to be humanistic, practical, and global. And this idea, it just lit a fire under a young monk named Hsing Yun. He scribbled this down in his diary, not as just some thought, but really as a commitment. This became the mission statement for the rest of his life.
So you've got this huge, world-changing idea, but how do you actually make it happen? Where do you even start? Well, for Master Hsing Yun, it didn't begin with some giant building project. It started with small, persistent, really practical actions.
He started by just writing and speaking and encouraging people. He knew that if you're going to go global, you have to speak the world's languages. I mean, he was so passionate about this that he literally offered his own money as a prize to any monk who would learn English. He was planting the seeds for a global network way before he actually had one. Then, in 1963, he gets his first chance to go abroad, and it's a total eye-opener. Traveling through Asia, he saw firsthand this deep need for Buddhist renewal. And when he visited India, the birthplace of Buddhism, he was just struck by how much the faith had declined, leaving only ruins where it had once flourished. And these journeys just hardened his resolve. You can imagine him standing there on that sacred ground, and his dream was no longer just some abstract idea. It became a vow, a real promise to bring the teachings to every single corner of the world. Now, the ultimate test of this entire vision would come in America, with a project so ambitious, so controversial, that people started calling it the Forbidden City of the West. Building the Haselai Temple in California was, well, it was a monumental struggle. It meant navigating 6 separate, incredibly contentious public hearings. They were facing objections from all sides, local residents, even other religious groups. And if that wasn't enough, it then took 135 coordination meetings just to deal with all the local concerns. I mean, think about that. Every single detail, from traffic and building height to the architectural style, it was all debated and negotiated. This was a masterclass in patience and just sheer persistence. And then, of course, there was the money. The budget absolutely ballooned. It started at what they thought was a manageable $3 million. Then it jumped to over $7 million. And the final cost was over $30 million. The financial pressure was just immense. But here's the incredible part. Against all of those odds, after a full decade of struggling, the temple was completed. And its success was so much more than just a building opening its doors. It became the strategic and inspirational blueprint that could be copied around the world, proving that even the biggest challenges could be overcome. So, how did they do it? How did they manage to replicate that success all over the globe? Well, it wasn't by accident. It was built on a really clear, repeatable, and honestly, very clever grassroots strategy. The strategy was all about community first. You don't start by trying to build a multi-million-dollar temple. No way. You start in someone's living room. You build relationships. Once you have a small group, maybe you move to a garage or a rented storefront. And only when you have a stable, committed community do you even start thinking about a formal building. It's about building a home for people, not just a structure.
And of course, a strategy is only as good as the people who carry it out, right? So the people leading these new centers, they had to be more than just monastics. They had to be pioneers. They needed this powerful sense of mission, incredible resilience, and just practical skills. And crucially, they had to live this idea of service, of giving to the community long before ever asking for anything in return.
So you go from a young monk's diary entry all the way to temples on 5 continents. It's a profound story about the impact of a single persistent idea. And it really makes you wonder, what other quiet, persistent dreams are out there right now, building the global communities of tomorrow?